The Outdoor Kindy idea came about from us at the start of the year as a staff team. We're a new staff team, and we together came up with ideas of what we wanted to achieve this year, what we wanted to achieve individually and what we wanted to achieve as a site. So we had a planning day, and in that planning day we came up with a whole lot of ideas about what we wanted to do, what we wanted to achieve, both individually and as a site. And something that was really obvious to all of us once we sat back and reflected through the process was that we all had a love of the outdoor learning environment, and we wanted also quite strongly for children to have a deep appreciation of the environment, just like we all did.
I'm going to beat you.
Oh, I think you did. You got there before me.
Outdoor Kindy is about reconnecting the children with outdoors, removing all the commercial toys pretty much from their lives and getting back to the basics, creating things, reconnecting with nature, mud, water, sticks and stones and potions, and just amazing learning, risk-taking for the children, allowing them to risk-take.
We have to lift it somehow.
And we have a great outdoor kindy area. Our environment is a fabulous big open canvas with very little structure and lots of open-ended opportunities. So we saw it as a great challenge to challenge ourselves individually, but challenge our children and challenge our community to basically take away the toys, take away things that have an outcome, a predetermined outcome. So if we're putting a swing on, well, we're going to use that as a swing. So we wanted to challenge children by saying, okay, we're not going to have toys, we're going to provide you with tools. We are going to provide you with loose parts, open-ended materials, and the outside, and the outdoors and the elements, and see what happens. So our first Outdoor Kindy experience, which happened in term 2, was about us just really seeing how it goes, seeing what happened, seeing what we learnt, and what we learnt was amazing. Far more than we ever expected, and the level and depth of learning was, I think as educators we all were blown away. All right, Ali, what have you seen today at Outdoor Kindy?
Mud. Lots of mud. Just lots of fun, and kids just being kids and learning as kids, uninhibited and unled, just leading themselves and doing what they do.
What challenge has Outdoor Kindy provided for you individually and for us as a staff?
I think for me personally was around about some of the risk taking, particularly around the fire. But I think after we'd done the risk assessment and we realised that really we could, and I guess this was the other thing, was knowing about children and knowing that children are able to make those risks themselves, so knowing when it's okay and when it's not, and trusting them to make those choices.
And probably getting used to the weather and being prepared for that, and accepting that we were going to get wet and cold and being aware of that. Getting in our waterproof clothing and getting parents used to all those ideas too.
And that's interesting, isn't it? Because we thought about that for the children, but we didn't think about it for ourselves really. And when the last day of last Outdoor Kindy Week, we were all soaked and realised that maybe we should have had some spare clothes. Yes.
And as a staff, just being on the same page as in letting children take risks and supporting them to do that.
What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
Hang about,
Hang about,
arms out,
arms out,
Thumbs up,
thumbs up.
toofa-tuffa, toofa-tuffa, toofa-tuffa. I say a toofa-tuffa, toofa-tuffa, toofa-tuffa. Laura. Thanks, Jen.
And Cooper, you're welcome.
Cooper. I ate my food. Charlie. Nah. You can give me a banana.
Might have that for afternoon fruit.
Did she trick you? It might be for afternoon.
She likes like this.
Oh, I reckon we'll hold on to it. And once we've finished it, we
Should
put our
you know
scraps.
what you had for food? Did you have an apple?
Thank you for the blossom. Thank you for the fruit. Thank you for the leaf and stem. And thank you for our fruit.
What challenges have you seen have been available for the children during outdoor learning?
Probably starting when we took all the toys away, the commercial toys and everything else, and they had to start thinking for themselves about what they wanted provided and what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it.
I think initially that was the case, but I think it didn't take very long for them to find that natural curiosity and that natural imaginative play. And once the playground was cleared of all of those commercial toys, it didn't take them very long to get in touch with nature and going from there.
Yeah, so we did this again last term 2, and I think what I found personally is when the children came in again this time, they just knew exactly what they were doing. It's like they had already relearnt what is natural to them, and what is basic instinct really is to just come and play as they need to. And they didn't need to come and ask us for the trucks or ask us for the climbing equipment or ask us for the swings. They just knew that it wasn't here, and they would have to just make their own swings and source their own learning instead of relying on commercially made products. And yeah, this time they've resourced different things than they did the first time. I've noticed the digging patch has been totally left alone. 1 or 2 children have actually headed up there for not very long, 5 minutes. We've had a lot of rain, so we've got our own digging patch in the entire Kindy garden. The biggest mud puddle ever that the children, they just don't need what has been created for them. They've actually created their own watercourse and their own drainage. So different areas of the Kindy are being accessed this time as opposed to last time. And of course the weather's different, so it actually has put a different angle on the whole outdoor Kindy.
So I have Eddie, who is here, and he generally loves Kindy, but he just hangs out for outdoor Kindy week. And just comes home muddy and smoky and just full of energy and wants to do it all at home. He's just been allowed or given the opportunity to explore and to, without people telling him not to get dirty and not to get his hands in the puddles and stay dry and stay clean. He needs to do that stuff, and he loves it. Really, I think the parents might get on board, but all the parents love it because the kids love it, and that's what they're supposed to do. And I think most parents do actually understand it. We probably worry too much about what level they're up to reading, writing and stuff, but kids, especially 4-year-olds, are not interested in sitting down, and I don't know, but that's not how they learn, surely. And when the kids come home with all these amazing ideas that we probably wouldn't have given them credit for being able to think of themselves, but they have because they've been allowed to themselves.
That is an awesome coffee machine.
And this cost us a lot of money. $6,000.
Whoa.
I guess overwhelmingly, I believe that the children's play has changed in terms of the richness of their learning, the depth in which they're exploring and experimenting, the ability and the time just to problem solve, to take risks in their own time. It's been wonderful to see children looking and just observing, and then when in their own time they've then gone and taken the risk.
And having things available for them to come back to the next day when they're returning, to seeing them return to some of those projects or build on them as well. And the fact that they have been so engaged in their learning and in what they're doing.
We saw differences in children that we could never have predicted. We, had a few ideas of, some of these kids would love this experience, but we never ever knew the little children. It was actually the quieter children, the children who were a little bit more standbackish, and were more observant learners that really got into the outdoor learning experiences that were offered, and we saw them have a voice. We saw them experiment, explore, and connect on a way that they never had before. We saw relationships deepen, and we saw, just opportunities that we could never ever have predicted before. So we did a lot of learning ourselves. We saw children embrace the seasons. We did it in autumn last year, and our apple tree was full of apples, and that was a really strong part of that. This time in winter, no apples on our tree, but lots of mud. So the theme of this one has definitely been mud and water. Last time the campfire was a real meeting place. This time not so much, because the mud around it is far more exciting than the fire. So I think the Outdoor Kindy has exceeded our expectations, has taught us all so much as educators, but also as people, as colleagues, as co-workers, and as carers of children. I think it's been just amazing.